So by way of background and introduction, I was recruited probably 6 months ago to be the change agent, bring a fresh perspective to the horse racing industry and to the Breeders' Cup. And by design, they wanted to hire somebody who had no horse racing experience. So hopefully what you'll see, and I'm about to walk you through, is a perspective of a fresh consumer marketer who knows how to build brands, knows how to drive consumer engagement, and now bringing it to the most fascinating, interesting industry I've ever been exposed to. So having said that, it's 4:30 Friday afternoon. I don't know what the horse racing analogy is, but I feel like I should be offering everybody something to drink before I begin my presentation. So hopefully this will be interesting. What I decided to do, rather than talk about the betting challenge, and I've heard a common theme here, which is very encouraging for where we are as a brand and a business, and more importantly, where we're going, is it's all about content. So the Breeders' Cup, by design, we're celebrating our 30th anniversary this year. We're a world-class brand. We have very aggressive plans for further global expansion of our brand to complement the other great world-class races. But most importantly, we do think of ourselves as entertainment and content. And I think when you talk about digital social media, it's all about that. How do you use all the power of your exciting, interactive, compelling content to drive fan engagement? So with that, Friday afternoon, 4 o'clock, I'm going to be maybe the only one to show a video, but hopefully that will help get everybody excited about the Breeders' Cup and understand us a little bit better. Or maybe not. I don't have to dance, do I?
Best is yet to come. Out of the tree of life, I just picked me a plum.
2 days of racing, $25 million in a 15-race program.
You came along and everything started to hum. It's real good, but the best is yet to come.
I adore the horses, right?
The best is yet to come.
And they won't it be fine. My husband just hit the superfecta in the 11th race.
You think you've seen the sun, but you ain't seen it shine. Rower number 7. We two warm-ups underway. Wait till our lips have met.
Let's go to California for the Breeders' Cup Classic.
The event attracts the best horses, trainers, and owners from across the world.
Now, this is sort of the crown jewel of California racing, Santa Anita. This is it.
$25 million in purse money.
My dad owned some racehorses, so I grew up going.
A big tip of the hat to the big girl. We're running her biggest race on her biggest stage.
Wait till you see that sunshine day. You ain't seen nothing yet. The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine?
Here is a champion again!
The best is yet to come, come the day of mine. Hit it, boys! Wait till your charms are right for these arms to surround. You think you've flown before, but baby, you ain't left the ground.
Second woman to win a Breeders' Cup race.
Wait till you're locked in my embrace. Wait till I draw you near. Wait till you see that sunshine place. Ain't nothing like it here. Oh, baby!
I just had a moment that I've never experienced in my life. It was absolutely awesome.
The best is yet to come, and babe, won't it be fine? The best is yet to come, come the day you're mine.
With the heart of a champion!
I'm gonna teach you to fly. We've only tasted the wine.
It's the ultimate, you know it.
We're gonna bring back the
back into the, that's not the whole presentation, by the way. Maybe it is. Here we go. So just in terms of the Breeders' Cup and understanding how we think of ourselves, not as a two-day race, we think of ourselves as a global sports and entertainment company. And when I joined the company, I saw an extraordinary world-class brand, but more importantly, the great resources and relationships to build value in many unique ways. And it's a very important statement as it relates to this audience because so much of what we see as the growth opportunities going forward is working with great partners like many of the ones who are in this room here who have been here all day. So we're excited about the future and we're excited about working with many of you in this room. So in terms of how we view ourselves, of course it's the great World Championship race that takes place this year, November 1st and 2nd. It's the only prime time network television broadcast of a race in the United States on NBC Sports. It's the experiences, a lot of what we talked about earlier. It's not just the horse race. For us to be successful and engage new fans, we need to transcend the horse racing experience. We really think of ourselves more like a Monaco Grand Prix in terms of the other ancillary events that take place in and around the World Championship event. It's the lifestyle, and many of what you'll see, certainly the race on Sunday and many other races I'm sure this audience has been to, but it's really the lifestyle, it's the luxury aspect of who our audience is, how we engage with that audience, and then how do we wrap the Breeders' Cup in and around this whole positioning as a luxury lifestyle brand. And then it's the entertainment. You saw Tony Bennett here, 82 years young, performing at last year's Breeders' Cup. This year you'll see a lot more entertainment, but most importantly, entertainment is a key driver in and around our event. So in terms of our digital objectives, most importantly for us, it's about building the fan base and many of the things you've already heard in terms of how we expand that fan base and how do we get people interested who are not the targeted horse racing fans. We think many of those fans are already covered. We can go deeper with those fans, but this is really all about fan expansion. And everything that we've heard today, I think, supports the notion of that. It's also about tune-in. As we think about our NBC primetime broadcast, there's the race aspect, which is an hour long, but then we have a 20-minute infomercial for all intents and purposes, which is a lot of what you just saw in that video, is how we bring the Breeders' Cup experience to life in an entertainment way that transcends the event and gets new fans excited. In terms of database development, clearly we feel like we have a very important job of aggregating our community of fans, both the core fans and new fans, and building a database to drive value and interaction and ongoing sustainable relationships with them. Then it's about our brand. And when I used to work for Coca-Cola, my favorite phrase was everything communicates. And I think it's really important in social media when you look at who succeeds and who doesn't succeed. I think the winners, and you've heard from certainly Twitter and Facebook previously, the winners are the ones that communicate in a consistent, clear message and for a purpose. And that's the way we view our whole digital media strategy. And then monetization. Again, we're a company. We're looking for new ways to drive fan engagement, and the fan engagement will drive new audiences. The new audiences will allow us to deliver those audiences and the access to those audiences to great, extraordinary brand marketing partners. So in terms of our digital initiatives, there are really three primary focuses: the fantasy games, which I'll talk about in terms of fantasy capping, and a new program we're going to introduce this year, $1 Billion Finish. It's the social media activities in Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. It's our Celebrity Ambassador program. It's our Blazing Silks Facebook game. And then it's second screen applications. And exactly what we just heard about from Twitter, how do we use the second screen, because so many people are using second screen while they're watching the broadcast event. So in terms of fantasy capping, we started a program last year, and it was a weekly fantasy game that led to the 14 races and right up to the Breeders' Cup Classic. It created fan awareness, and basically the way I view it as a consumer marketer, it got fans on the ladder, got them on a ladder of getting themselves involved. We brought on board the gentleman who created fantasy sports for the NFL, and then subsequently left the NFL and did a roll-up of fantasy sports, and then sold that to Gannett. And I brought him on board because I saw an opportunity in fantasy really being a great way to engage fans in a similar way that the NFL has continued to grow their audience and other sports have well. And so the key to the success for us with the fantasy is really keep it simple. And again, we want that fan to start on a ladder, work their way up, and eventually become a gambler and participate in the betting around our events. But most importantly, how do we get them started? So we really got to keep it simple. The time investment as designed in the fantasy capping game was minimal. It became very social in terms of the comparing of the teams and the interactions. And one of the things that I found it's really fascinating to me, again with a fresh perspective around horse racing, is how many casual fans are interested in things that have nothing to do with the horse racing and the handicapping and all other aspects. So you think about that. You think about the colors of the silks. You think about the numbers. You think about the names of the horses. And I think there's a large percentage of people out there who are betting on those principles alone. And if we can get them involved in fantasy capping as a simple way in, then I think we're going to own them over time. So in terms of, as we view the beta, if you will, we had very positive results in the fantasy capping in terms of the receptivity. 98% wanted the game continue in 2013, which is this year, which is how we went forward with it. 74% enjoyed it a great deal. 70% played in one or two or more leagues. 34% fantasy capping increased their interest in the Breeders' Cup. And again, that's the key driver. We got their attention, we got their interest, and most importantly, the last data point, 21% said they were more likely to place a real wager on a horse race after playing fantasy capping. This again reinforces my belief that fantasy is a great way to get the fans hooked. In support of that, I'm giving you a little scoop because we haven't announced this yet, but for the first time, we're going to be partnering with NBC Sports in what we're calling the $1 Million Finish. And it's a very simple concept, again, trying to reach a broader audience, get fans excited about horse racing. They have to pick the winners, the top 10 winners of the Breeders' Cup to win $1 million. And I'm not going to say publicly that that's probably not likely, but it's probably, in horse racing parlance, a long shot. But again, it's a very simple way to get fans involved. NBC will be promoting this once we announce it in the next week, leading up to and through, and certainly in the Breeders' Cup broadcast. So really excited about this because I think this is going to capture the fascination of casual fans. And again, once we have the relationship, we own the data connection with them. We're going to promote it very aggressively in social media. And I think we're really going to break out with a very unique, exciting, compelling promotion in horse racing with a great partner with NBC. This just gives you a sneak peek. This is a very rough version of what it's going to look like. But it's going to be exciting, it's going to be compelling, it's going to be of interest to the casual fan. Certainly core fans can be involved as well, and I'm sure there'll be a lot of handicapping around the chance to win $1 million, but that's not really the primary objective. So in terms of the second screen application, we're very excited in terms of NBC Sports, working with both NBC Sports and NBC Universal, because part of our strategy, again, is to work beyond just the sports focus and emphasis on the Breeders' Cup. It's really tap into the entertainment side. So between NBC Sports, NBC Universal, and all the Comcast relationships that come through the ownership structure of NBC, we're going to be driving this promotion in a very aggressive way on second screen. In terms of our social media strategy, we have a strong presence on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And we also have we created a celebrity brand ambassador program, and I heard reference to that a few minutes ago around one of the events. And for us, the way I look at it is one of the big challenges when you're building a brand and trying to generate new fan engagement in horse racing, the horses don't talk, and many other jockeys, at least in the United States, don't talk English well enough to get them to be spokesmen for our game. That's a real challenge. So the other way we address that is we create this celebrity brand ambassador program, because one of the things that struck me about the horse racing industry is the compelling personalities, from the breeders to the owners, and many in the United States, similar to here in Europe, athletes and entertainers that own horses, and prolific people who are really excited and passionate about their horses. So to that extent, we created this brand ambassador program. Bobby Flay, who many of you may know is a worldwide chef celebrity, is the face of our brand ambassadors program. What we did is we sent a group of initially 20 celebrities a mini iPad, and we decked it out in an introduction from Bobby, and basically we gave it to them in a gift saying, we will, through the Breeders' Cup, take you to any race around the world as our guest. We're not asking you to do anything other than just to tweet about us, talk about us, and most importantly, let us post your presence, your relationship with the Breeders' Cup on site in a very authentic way. And I think that's one of the other things that's important in any kind of brand ambassador program, having worked with a number of athletes and entertainers, is it has to be authentic. And the good news, we have a lot of great fans who are entertainers who can help promote our message and be those great ambassadors for us. Blazing Silks is a game that we actually have a licensing deal with, and it's our Facebook game, and we're really excited about the future of this game because we really feel like we've just scratched the surface. We have an exciting announcement coming up with a very prominent company here in Paris who was on the panel earlier, but I'm not allowed to scoop that announcement. But we're very excited about that because, as you see, it's really interesting in terms of the results. And again, the way we approach these things is in a very thoughtful, methodical way, almost like an incubator. So we incubated this game. We had a great response. It's really a great way to get young people interested in horse racing. And basically what they do is they breed their own horse. They understand all the aspects of getting involved as a breeder, as an owner, and a really clever way to get them to see what goes into creating a championship horse. And takes them through the process. It's fun, it's entertaining. Most importantly, again, it's simple. So in terms of our results, we had 150,000 installs, in excess of 150,000. We had 82% of the people participating were under 34 years old. And that's really exciting because that is the next generation of horse fans and the next generation of many of the fans that we're all in this room trying to get to participate in betting in horse racing. We had a great split between male and female, so we cut across both genders, which I think is really important and provides great opportunity for the future. And it's really fascinating to us because when I say the Breeders' Cup is a global brand, we're a global brand today by the nature that we have 67 races around the world that feed into our World Championship. But really, that's a result of the great horse racing activities and events. It has nothing to do with a marketing effort because, frankly, we've done no marketing to build that global brand expansion. That's going to change rather dramatically going forward. But in terms of the participation, it's just fascinating to think that we had such a great response internationally, and particularly here in France. We had 7% of the people who were playing from France, and that's without any effort, just happening very organically. So in terms of this game being a great opportunity to break out, get new fans involved, tell our story, and do it in a very scalable, sustainable way, we're really excited about it. Just in closing, I'll just show you how we think about, when I talk about the ladder. So our whole strategy is to use the Breeders' Cup. We've got a World Championship event with some best horses in the world coming to our event in Santa Anita, California. Certainly, we're there this year, we're there next year, so at least for next year. We're not sure about the future as yet. But tapping into Hollywood, tapping into the entertainment aspects, and really amplifying the exciting parts of the Breeders' Cup Breeders' Cup as an event, get those casual fans involved, get them engaged through fantasy capping, the $1 Million Finish, Blazing Silks, and then online wagering. Then eventually, over time, we're going to figure out the online wagering part. Once we have that database, there are many great partners that we work with, including ExpressBet today, certainly NBC Sports as a media entertainment company, and that's all part of the exciting future that we see ahead to get the new fans involved and then take them to another place. Merci. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much there to Drew. Are there any questions from the floor before we ask Drew to take a seat again? I thought it was very interesting to get a fresh perspective coming in from someone from outside of the industry. And in particular, what you were saying about the fantasy gaming is very interesting. It ties in with our last session this afternoon about whether social gaming will be an opportunity or a threat for racing. My own view is if you ignore it, then it will become a threat. Right. How do you see that moving forward?
Well, I think it's interesting because you think about, from the perspective I have of football, American football, the National Football League, and how they have been so prolific in their success, which has a lot to do with people gambling, even though they would never admit it and embrace that people are gambling in and around the football games. But a large part of their continued advanced fan engagement is built around fantasy. And fantasy, if you think about it at its core, is very social. It's online, it's interactive. I see from my own son's experience how they tweet about trades, and it's very active in all aspects of social media. So I don't see it as a threat at all. I think it's a necessity, and I think it's an exciting opportunity for this industry.
Great, thank you. Any questions from the floor?
I'd like to know Drew's opinion on the future or present and future international representation at the Breeders' Cup, and whether you feel the threat of the Group 1 races in the Far East and the Spring Carnival in Melbourne as a threat.
Well, as the non-horse racing guy, I could probably duck that question very easily. I'll just say that in terms of the Breeders' Cup standing alone as a world championship event, where there are many discussions that we're having in terms of how to bring the value we have to the Middle East, to Europe, to work with other partners. I think this industry is such that collaboration is key in terms of across many parted lines, from the horse racing side to the gambling side to the social media side. So we're excited about what we can bring to the table, but we're involved in some very interesting conversations to that effect.
Well, thank you very much to Drew. We appreciate your input. Thanks a lot.